Instagram or yeah, I see a review on Goodreads, and so it's great to get to know you all. I wish we had even like more time to kind of talk and get to know each other. But thank you. Volume 2 is here. Finally, we're a little bit behind schedule, but life happens, and so we're back on track, and a lot of exciting stuff coming up ahead. I wanted to start with on the next slide. Actually, John Ray was just talking, so this was the first image that I saw when I clicked on John Ray's profile. Was this? I don't know if it's still your banner image on Facebook, but it's kind of this visual that like from first glance, like 1 second, it's like something that's very Filipino but also very futuristic, and it was like the perfect kind of match, along with the manga art style, right, of like the kind of world that we wanted to build. When I started to dig deeper into his work, next slide, this was, I think, a series of, was it 3 or 4 different short stories called Akma Corp. They're like 1, 2, 3 page kind of stories where he goes into different technologies, and this one is, it's called, I don't know if you pronounce it Eraser HD or Eraser Head. It's like this technology where you can watch your favorite movie and then you can put this thing on and you forget it, and so you can watch it again like it's the first time, right? And that kind of idea, and something that's rooted in this experience that like everyone has, and kind of like a yearning that a lot of people can relate with, that he was able to tackle in just 1, 2, 3 pages. And so I was really excited to work with him, and I'm glad that I passed the test with the prologue. Next slide. So as for me, there's a lot of story, there's a lot of inspiration that maybe we can go into another time. But I think one thing that was always in my mind and imagination was the Pasig River. So I remember about 10 years ago, I took this ferry down the Pasig River, and for all the pollution and the problems that are there was also kind of this sense of, if the Philippines were a nation that was more stable, that took care of its people more, that invested in the growth of itself more, like this could be a place that we're really proud of, right? And you can see these almost cinematic moments where you're going, you're taking you have that turn and you see the faces of the buildings on the Escolta, and so that kind of that foundation, taking it to the next level of seeing the flying cars and the sky, but also on the ground, still looking like very much like the place that we live in, was one of the first images that came to my mind when writing Maharlika. On the next slide, actually from that test prologue, so I had written the full volume script of volume 1 before I reached out to John Ray, but that script didn't include the prologue, and so it didn't include the character of Jisoo, and I think she wasn't in that story at all, and that kind of whole chunk of what the story ended up evolving into wouldn't have happened if it weren't for that that first kind of test, those first 6 pages, and this was this other part, which was what if it's not just kind of development and like a pretty promenade, but also Philippines is a cultural powerhouse where you have a Korean living in Manila in the first chapter who's looking up to the the P-pop groups and wondering if Korea could ever have anything at that level. Yeah, and so that's kind of the initial probably the first layer of looking into this world. But I think what started to become more interesting, digging deeper into it, was on the next slide, this question of how did we get here, and what series of events could have led to this, and starting to answer that throughout the course of the story. And next slide is also just what are the kind of sacrifices that had to be made, or sacrifices in the sense of people sacrificing parts of themselves, but also sacrificing others, right? What's blood that had to be spilled to get to this kind of futuristic society. What are the trade-offs that had to happen? And next slide, yeah, the consequences, wars, people dispossessed. Is it all worth it at the end of the day? And those kinds of questions wrapped into the same and a hope, in one sense hopeful, but at the same time difficult setting that Maharlika's in. Next, and so from there, from that kind of initial conceit of the world, started to evolve the characters, right? The people who, uphold that kind of world order, or defending it, in a lot of cases, no matter the cost to other people, right? And this cast of characters on that side that kind of embody that theme. Next slide. On the other side of things are the rebels, the underdogs, the people who are trying to who are angry at the way things are, that want things to change, or just want to kind of burn the whole thing down. Those characters start to evolve also over time. Next slide. And the people who are stuck in the middle, right? Stuck in the middle with each other, stuck in the middle with you, the readers, are kind of our two main characters, Mal and Yari. Mal, who's this person who, his background, as you kind of uncover through it, is a lot of it is really he's this person who has like stood up to power and didn't quite go the way that he wanted and expected. He's seen the kind of consequences of that for himself and the people around him. Yari, who's this person who is very much embedded inside the machine, but at the same time, like, as a person, her values don't align with it, and so she has this kind of detachment and cynicism, but she's still part of some of these problems, and how do you deal with those kinds of things? And I think that's something that all of these are things that we started to touch on in Volume 1, and next slide, I guess, in Volume 2 is where we start to really go deeper. And for me, is the part where, in the writing process, where the characters in the world, and some of my favorite characters, like Akira, Jisoo, these people that we introduced in Volume 1, and I think are we don't really know at the end of Volume 1, start to become fleshed out into, for me at least, people that I really enjoyed following. So I hope you enjoy going through that journey. Next slide. Also introducing new characters, right? And just quickly next, some of those characters are people that are just kind of within the circle of the people that you've gotten to know, and some of them are also kind of pull that bigger thread of the who runs this world. And the structures of power and control around that. And so I don't want to talk too much more than that. I think there's a lot that I don't want to spoil. I think if you've read Volume 1 to the end, then there's things that I don't really want to. It's hard to say in terms of the structure of the story that I think we started to really have fun with in Volume 2. But that's where I'll kind of stop on Volume 2, and then I'll go into some of the things to be excited about. So next up, next slide, Volume 3. John Ray has actually already thumbnailed the full volume, so we have sketches of the full story. It's going to take time to get it out there, but we know what the whole story looks like. The whole story, actually, from beginning to end, right now up to Volume 6, which is the ending in the current draft, has been done for about 2 years at this point, 3 years this year. So we're going through it, and for me, Volume 3 and 4, I keep telling people, is like that's my favorite part of and actually for me, it's the part where the core idea of like the story we wanted to tell started, and then we work backwards from there, and we work forwards from there. And so I'm really excited to get started on that. Beyond Volume 3, next, some exciting things are happening. This one, I think, was it posted today? Yesterday. So Filipino comics are traveling the world. It's not just us. There's a few other people in this room who see it. I don't know if the others are here, but we're part of a batch of Filipino comics that are starting to take on international audiences and international interests in a real way. So I wasn't sure if I'd be able to talk about it today, but they published the article and it's there. So we got picked up in Italy, we got picked up in Denmark. So there's going to be locally translated copies there very soon. Italy very soon, actually. And actually more copies in Italy than in the Philippines. So I need to work on scaling up our printing in the Philippines very soon. That's happening. At the same time, the kind of longer term projects, next slide, we started with Borge here, kind of the initial concept art of like what would Maharlika look in an animated world. This is kind of the early studies on it. So I'll just go through next, a couple of seconds, I guess. Next. And then we started to go back. We started to from after Borges' initial illustrations. We worked with another artist, Dan Arong. I don't know if any of you all know him, but he also does great work to do some draft character designs, what these characters could look like in an animated setting. And next, now started to kind of put together these storyboards and layouts for at least the first trailer, this minute of like what this world can look like actually animated. So next, yeah. So just a few teasers of the kind of the phase of the work that we're in. And it's still early. This is going to be a probably 3-year project before the actual film is out there. But we're trying to set the groundwork now and building a team now, and just starting on that kind of long just a long trek ahead of us. Next slide. It's not just us kind of doing it alone. So Ianu is this HBO Cartoon Network animation that launched, I think, in the past month. So actually, our team includes the producers and storyboard artists, the creative people, and the team who built that. And Ianu is really interesting for us because it's really this case where it was a graphic novel that was built around African folklore and then became adapted to, or became published and distributed in the U.S. and built a U.S. audience and then got into animation. So we're learning a lot from them and their process, but again, very early. We'll share more with you soon. Soon or not so soon, maybe probably in the next some number of months, we'll have more to share with you there. But we're working on it. And next, I guess I just wanted to show some of the other things that we have. This one is it's a tiny collection of 2 short stories, Dramamine and Impossible Soul. I won't go too much into it, but it's 2 sci-fi stories that probably at this point like 5 to 10 people have read it, but 2 or 3 have cried, and so that's a good sign. So it's out of the books that I have personally. If you're looking for that here, and then I think it's the start of what will hopefully be a bigger anthology of sci-fi stories. Next up, and then this is also some art from inside of Dramamine and Impossible Soul that Lucia contributed to. Next, Thank You and More Power is, I have a first chapter with Sampai, who is in the audience also, or outside, or yeah, so he's in attendance here. If you have a copy, you can hunt him down for his signature also. But this one, oh yeah? Yeah, so pick it up. We actually only have 2 for sale today. We need to print more. But if you go to the next slide, it's really about this world where there's this corporation that creates drugs that unlock powers in people, and then on the other side there's these gray market dealers that distribute it semi-illegally. And I think for me it's like where Maharlika is more of influenced by things like a combination of things like a Blade Runner on one side or Attack on Titan on the other side. This one is more the thing that for me is inspired by things like Pulp Fiction, those things that I love in that genre. So this one I think more action comedy, more fun episodic things, but still building up to a bigger picture that will unfold over a long period of time, but we're slowly kind of building it. Next up, so a few more highlights from More Power. Sampai's amazing artwork. And then next we have also Nightgate. This one is Lucia's work. If you've read, if you've seen her work on it, if you've read Lucia Dreaming, it's a fantastic book. There's a free one also today that we're giving out. This is your first kind of serialized long-term story, right? And again, without really diving too deep into it, it takes place kind of in this war-torn world. Go to the next slide. In this war-torn world, next. and this set of characters who are living, trying to live a normal life amidst a lot of chaos and violence. Next, and the relationships and this really interesting cast of characters and this art style that I think is really different from Lucia's previous, but like I think we actually nailed in terms of this kind of this manga design. And this group of characters discover something that changes their lives and could be a source of hope or could be something else, right? So that one, I think we're getting close to having a first chapter to share with you all. And next, this last one, this is the earliest one. Borge is here. And he's been working with a writer who's a friend of mine, as well as Ian Santa Maria, who supported with the concept art and will help with some of the work in cover design and other things throughout. So Ian Santa Maria is also kind of in that working team and conversation. The board created this design of this character Malaya, and she's the centerpiece of this Baleta tree saga. That's this kind of dark fantasy world that has pieces of kind of Avatar: The Last Airbender in its identity, but goes in a different direction that I'm excited for you to experience. So that is kind of the last one I'll share for now. And I think next, yeah. So when we were kind of putting this together, with John Ray, we were trying to figure out like what do we call this imprint, right? Of a lot of our influences. It's a mix of like some Western comics, but also a lot of manga. And we grew up in the '90s where we both watched Ghost Fighter. And the thing about Ghost Fighter actually, which I didn't know until I moved to the U.S. for 15 years, is that no one knows what Ghost Fighter is anywhere else. Like, it's a Filipino localization, all the characters have different names everywhere else. It's just the Philippines that knows them as like Eugene, Dennis, etc. And I don't even know if it's called Raygun in the other versions, but in the Philippines it is like Raygun. Right? So, yeah. So it's that, right? Next slide. We felt like it was a fitting name to put to this new house, and it just so happened to fit with John's name, which is a bonus. And he says not intentional, so I'll take his word for it. And that's kind of where I'll stop. So Raygun by San Telmo House, which is a bigger kind of project that we're putting together. And we'll share more. We'll probably have a launch event for the imprint, for the other stories there for sure. And this is really the first one. Like I think I've been kind of in hiding for a bit, and so it's I'm really honored for you all spending the time to be here today, and hope that this is the first of many things. And every bit of support means a lot. So with that, I'll give it back to Joe for the wrap.
Let's get back. Is it up for Rexy? So as we are setting up for a Cuban Day,